What's up, guys? Welcome back to the film room. This video is about former MVP Steve Nash and how he was one of the best players to ever play this game when it came to making two people guard one. Now, this is one of our gap theory principles that you've heard me talk about before, and he was absolutely elite at it. His understanding of this concept in basketball made him one of the best passers to ever play the game, and you'll learn a lot just from the few tips that you're going to get in this video. But it's critical to understand that the reason he was such a good passer was because he was also a phenomenal scorer. Steve Nash was what we refer to as a three-level scorer, and what that means is he had the ability to efficiently knock down shots from three. He was a very good mid-range player, so he could make shots going to his left and pulling up from mid-range, and he could go to his right and pull up from mid-range, and he had the ability to get to the rim and score it around the basket with floaters and layups. So when you have the ability to be a threat offensively, the defense is going to be constantly worried about stopping you, and that's what gave him the opportunity to be such a good distributor. So I'll tell you with all confidence that this video will make you a better passer and allow you to see the floor better, but you also need to have the ability to score so that the defense is worried about that aspect of your game as well. But before we jump into the content, I wanted to give a shout out to my members. Thank you so much for supporting my channel, for believing in the work that I'm doing. And if you're interested in becoming a member, you can get early access to my content and an opportunity to chat with me one-on-one. I truly appreciate you guys so much. Now, the first thing we're going to look at that Steve did really well that was very simple is what's referred to as a strong side kick. Anytime you're driving to the basket, the players that are on the same side of the court that you're driving to would be considered the strong side teammates. And one of the easiest but most overlooked things is when you get help or a stunt from that strong side defender, just kicking it to the man that's next to you where you're driving is a simple way to get easy assists. And this is how it falls under the umbrella of making two guard one. When you get downhill, as soon as a strong side defender comes in to help, in that moment there are now two defenders guarding you. Your on-ball defender and the man that's coming over to help, which means that simple kick to the strong side is to somebody who is open. Now, whether that shot's going to go in or not, it's an easy way to get an open look for a teammate. And Nash did this all the time in ball screens because as he would turn the corner, these help defenders would be worried about him driving and the potential of a roll man being open, and that's what made these strong side kicks open for catch and shoot shots. Now, you typically will never have a read that's this easy, but I want you to see this possession to understand why that strong side is open. As Nash comes off this ball screen, the strong side player is wide open, and it's because his defender is all the way in the paint helping on the roll man, and so there's two people guarding the roller, and that's what makes this man open. Now, just by setting a ball screen, you're typically going to get two people on the ball. So as he comes off, there's two people on the ball, and the roll man should be open right now, but instead of the ball going to him, it's going to be thrown to this strong side because the strong side player's defender is jammed in, worried about that roll man, and Nash takes in all that information in a split second and makes the easy play. So the reason making two people guard one is so important is because you're taking advantage of the numbers on the court. Ultimately, the entire game of basketball is built around trying to get two people to guard one so that you have an advantage somewhere else. And this possession will break that down so that you can really see it. Nash gets two people on the ball when he comes off of this step up, and so behind him, there are now 4 offensive players and 3 defensive players, and if Nash can get the ball out and the other 4 players have good spacing, the odds of them getting an open shot are really good. So here's a foundational concept that you need to understand about ball screens. If you can force the screener's man to help, you have instantly created two people guarding one, which is the goal, and as you can see from here, that big man is now open depending upon what the backside defenders do, and what Nash was elite at that is actually really simple is getting it to that big immediately. And the reason he threw the ball to the big early is because he found out in his career that if he could just get this much of an advantage where his big had a step on his defender, that's all guys like Amari Stoudemire needed to be successful. And because of guys like Steve Nash, this idea of getting the ball to the big early, which is referred to as a short roll or a pocket pass, where you try and get the ball to your big here rather than waiting until he rolls all the way down here, has taken over the game because it works really well. And when it's done correctly, this is one of the most difficult actions in basketball to stop. So as you come off the screen and you have 2 people guarding 1, if you can drop the ball in this short roll area right here, you have immediately created a scoring opportunity for your team that you can do over and over. I want you to watch how many times Marcin Gortat ended up getting a bucket because Steve Nash was throwing him pocket passes. Now you might be thinking there's no way the game can be that easy, and you're right, it's not. Once you understand short rolls, then you need to understand the second level of defense. So after you get 2 people to guard 1, instead of just automatically throwing that short roll, you need to get your eyes to what's referred to as a tag defender who might potentially be helping on the roll man, and in the event that he does tag, now the read is to throw it back to his matchup. And this is where you get to see how Nash would actually dissect a defense. Because Nash would never look at his big rolling to see if he was open or not in a ball screen, because he knew as soon as he got this defender to help, he was open. The only thing that mattered to him was what this backside tag defender was doing. If he came up to help on the big, he knew that his man in the corner was going to be shaking up to the wing, and he'd throw it right back there for a catch and shoot shot. And this is how basketball turns into an if-then equation. If I can get 2 people to the ball, then my big is open. And if the backside tag defender comes in to help, then I know that the shake is open. So the thing that Nash does so well that you can learn from is getting your eyes to the right spot at the right time. On this step-up ball screen, all he's really doing is getting his eyes to this defender, because if he comes in to help on the roll instead of throwing it to Gortat, he's going to throw it to this man who should be doing what's referred to as shaking, which just means that you're filling in behind where the ball is being driven to make it easier to kick it out. So as you watch these examples, see if you can see 2 people to the ball and the tag man coming up to help on the roller, and that's what opens up the shake pass that Steve throws. Now, a lot of people have the ability to make these passes, but what I think separated Steve from everybody else was his patience and his understanding of influence. He was never in a hurry to go anywhere, and once he would get to the paint, he always knew how to influence the big to worry about him scoring so that he could dish it off to his post player who was around the paint at the last second to get them an easy bucket. And in today's game, this is even coined a Nash dribble, because when he would drive to the paint and he would get that big to rotate over and help, instead of feeling rushed or needing to make a decision before he wanted to, he would use all of this space to keep his dribble live, influence that big to go with him, and that's when he would dish it off. And there are so many point guards in today's game that don't understand this concept, that when you get downhill and you influence a bigger defender to help on you, instead of trying to make a really tough shot, scan the floor for the open player because you know you've drawn a second defender and get an easy look. And what made this Suns team so difficult to guard is when you add in cutting. So now, as Nash was driving to the bucket, players on the perimeter would know that their man was rotating over to help, and they would cut to the basket, and Nash would almost always see them. And this created major problems for defenses because Nash was going to get a paint touch at some point, and now as guys are rotating over, as you can see, D-Wade does not see Richardson cutting out of the corner, and this happened constantly. My goal with this video is that you guys would utilize these concepts that you can see from Steve Nash because it will improve your offense drastically. And if you have other questions, please feel free to reach out to me in the comments. Thanks for coming through. We'll see you next time in the film room.